evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please rise. Mr. Lodato, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Hands on heart. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing and join the board in a moment of silence as we honor our veterans, our first responders, and our active military. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first meeting in May. It's starting to feel like spring. I don't think we have to make any announcements about snow removal or getting your cars off the streets or anything like that for quite a while. Two things that I want to mention. First of all, this Monday, right here in this room on May 6th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., we'll have our first LPC meeting, or Local Planning Committee meeting, for the New York Forward grant that we were awarded earlier this year. As you may remember, Mineola was one of two communities chosen to receive $4.5 million. Those $4.5 million come with very strict and tight regulations, and including making up a committee of local business people, residents, et cetera, stakeholders. And that's just one of the parts of it. And so if you want to find out more about the process, it is a public meeting. It is going to be a work session, so it's not open to comment, but there will be a presentation from New York State, from the Empire Development Committee, from the planners. So this will involve planners and designers and engineers and people who have subject matter experts in this area. But the committee is made up of about 10 or 12? 11, 12. I'm obviously the co-chair on it. Somebody from New York State is the other co-chair, and then we have 9 or 10 of your fellow neighbors and residents who are on the committee that involve a wide array of groups, from education to business to just residents, business owners, etc. Okay, so that is Monday the 6th here from 6 to 8 p.m. and there will be a number of those once a month until December, with the 6 of them. Okay, except July there won't be one, and then there will be surveys and there will be public meetings where the public can interact. So all of this process, there is a website that has been created for this process only, for Mineola's version of New York Forward. All of that will be rolled out, so you will be able to see what those $4.5 million will be used for. Contrary to popular belief, we can't use them for whatever we feel like paving roads and things of that nature. They come with very strict guidelines. So that is, again, this Monday. And secondly, I would just like, although it doesn't necessarily have anything to officially do with my role as mayor, it's hard to take off these hats, but I would just like to share with the community that I just returned this past Sunday from Portugal after 10 days on an exchange where I took 16 Mineola High School students, along with Mr. Escobar, the high school principal, and we spent 10 days on an exchange where our students stayed in homes of host students and host families in a city called Mortosa, just south of Porto, about 2.5 hours north of Lisbon. And then that school, those students will come to Mineola in the spring of 2025. As you can probably see on my face, the weather was very nice, the food was even better, and it was certainly a life-changing event for these young men and women, mostly juniors and seniors from Mineola High School, most of whom were not of Portuguese descent. So it was really, truly a memorable experience, and I'm glad that we were able to do this and get back safe and sound and back to school today. Deputy Mayor.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I just wanted to remind everybody that this Sunday is the kickoff of all of our new great events that are going to be happening here in Mineola. And this Sunday is a wellness market. It's Sunday the 5th from 10 to 3 here at Village Hall. I think there's around 30 vendors coming, all kinds of things in the wellness arena, from things to purchase to lectures to hear, all different events. So we hope to see you there. It's from 10 to 3 again on Sunday. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Casado.
Thank you, Mayor. Everybody, good evening. So, you know what? It's May 1st, but summer's approaching. Check your website. We have a ton of concerts going to take place. Mineola's going to be great for this the whole summer. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Clark.
Good evening. Yeah, it's going to be a busy year. We got a lot going on in the village. So check the website, call Village Hall if you have any questions, and don't forget to sign up early for pickleball.
Trustee Solosky.
I have nothing just to add. Come out and enjoy all these events that the village has planned. They're going to be fabulous.
Okay, thank you. And there's a website for that as well. It's called MineolaEvents.com. If you go to MineolaEvents.com, you will see all of our concerts, whether they be at Memorial Park, on 2nd Street, where we're having 3 Sounds on 2nd this year, and we're having a foodie festival in June at Wilson Park, May 18th. June is the car show, the Automobile and Arts on 2nd Street. We have a Fall Harvest Festival. We're going to have a holiday festival later in the year. So again, MineolaEvents.com. As the Deputy Mayor mentioned, the Wellness and Artisan Fair will always be here at Village Hall, and that will be a monthly event, except for August. We're not doing August, okay? Rain or shine. If it's raining, we'll try to bring it indoors into the community center. So please come on out. It is not a farmer's market. It's a wellness and artisan fair, so there will be some food and some creams and some, things and crafts and things like that. We're trying for sure. Okay, with that, we will open it up to public comment. Ms. DeVanzo.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board, Mr.
Good evening.
Gibbons. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Trustee Casado and Trustee Solosky on their election. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm here today to, 2 questions. Western Beef, I just understand, is leaving and going over to their other facility in Carl Place. Is there any notion of what's going in there, or is it going to be developed? Do you have any insight that you can provide?
I do, and the insight that I have, it's just interesting. Yesterday, I heard from someone about that NYU Langone is going in there. That is absolutely not true. The insight that I have is that we do not have any active developers or anyone saying anything about doing anything other than Western Beef is leaving. Obviously, I'm sad to see them go. I would like for them to stay. My vision would be to keep a supermarket there. That's what I want to see there. That's what I would like to remain to see there, and that's what I would like to work to see there. But there are there's a lot of misinformation about what is going to go there. There are things that we can control and things that we can't control. Western Beef leaving, we can't control. Right? But what goes in there, to some degree, we can control. And I can tell you that it's not going to be a medical office building for, NYU Langone. So, but we'll entertain, and then there's the issue of, there are certain things that can be built there as of right, that they don't need our approval for, right? Just like you can do certain things in your house as of right. But if it's anything beyond that, then they would have to come to us, and then we would have to obviously approve it. I personally would not think that anything along the scale of what we've done on the west side of the Oyster Bay branch and on the south side of the tracks, it just doesn't fit there, because there are homes on Roosevelt and there are homes on Liberty, and it's much closer to our residential area. But again, they have been talking about leaving for at least 2 or 3 years, and they didn't, and now I think that they obviously finally are. And like I said, I'm sad to see them go, because like a lot of people here, they have great bread, great prices, reasonable, good location, but I don't know. I can't give you into any insight. So I have had zero communication from the owners of the property or any developers that want to do anything, whether it be housing or another supermarket or pickleball courts. I don't know of anything. But certainly, once they move, we will reach out and say, okay, well, what's the plan? Are you selling? Are you developing? What are you looking to do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and my second question, I was at a hearing back in October when the discussion of the development where the Lever Building is and the garages and things of that nature, and I had brought up the point on Front Street, where it's a one-way street that goes east to west, and the concern of traffic to this date, people are going in the opposite direction to come out on Roslyn Road. And it's very dangerous, and I had suggested at this meeting that perhaps we could maybe put up the red and white do not enter signs that are facing out to Roslyn Road, so that it would kind of maybe deter people from doing this. In fact, this evening when I was coming home from work, again, I don't have a parking space at Birchwood, and I have to park behind one of the firms on that street, and as I'm making the turn onto Front Street, a big SUV coming down, and, you know, she couldn't move to the other side because the cars are parked on that
Right.
side. So I had to wait, and then she kind of buzzed around me. So it's happening from people from the law firms that are on that block, as well as Hudson House.
Okay.
So,
We will, I think that, well, obviously Roslyn Road is a county road,
right,
but whatever we can do, whether
on
we.
Front Street,
Front is a village road, correct?
yes.
Okay, so we'll do, I mean, I see it too when I go in the underpass on
Mhm.
Willis. The people that come out, you're not supposed to make that left, because
Right.
they have those cones there,
Right,
but they get cute and they almost like hang a
Right.
U-turn. You know, people are gonna do
Right.
stupid things.
It's dangerous, though.
It is
It's, you
dangerous,
know.
it is dangerous.
So, but-
But we will do what we can, and certainly, and construction's not even close to beginning, at that point, we'll make sure that, all the signage
right.
is
I
updated.
just thought I would just bring it up
Yeah,
again.
no,
Just as a, refresher.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Vance. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Kaufman, or, right?
We just got married.
Oh, I'm sorry, you know, Keegan and, two separate people, okay. Yeah.
Thank you for introducing us. Pleasure to be here, Mr. Mayor, trustees.
But in my defense, you know, your handwriting is very close together, so.
Yeah,
I don't wanna start any rumors.
No one's angry.
as long as there's no camera.
Oh, no, you're on TV, you're on camera. Smile.
All right.
I
How
did,
do we
you know, by
walk
the
away
way,
from
I
that?
did, one of the things that, and one of the things that I enjoy about my job is I'm allowed to marry people, and I actually married a couple here 2 weeks ago. So, but, you know, you won't be my
Then we'd
third.
both be bigamists.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. We're at 101 Lincoln Avenue. I think over a year ago, somebody from the village came in and cut down the trees in front of our building.
4.
Mhm.
4 trees. They haven't been replanted. We were promised trees. There's nothing there. Is there a person who's a specialist in trees here in the village, who's working for the village?
Yeah, so we cut down probably about 200 trees a year, and then we replace 200 trees a year. The season that we cut them down and the season that we plant them are different. So this fall, going into next winter, those trees will be replaced. The stumps will be ground, and those trees will be replaced.
I
There's no-
just have one concern with that. If
Yeah.
you walk down Willis Avenue or Mineola Boulevard or some other areas, there are trees that are now petrified. The stumps have been there for years, and they haven't been replaced either.
So some of those stumps, yep, you're absolutely right. Some of those stumps, A, are not ours because they're the county's, or B, they may be in gas lines. So you'll see sometimes like little yellow flags or spray paint. We have to wait for the gas company to come in and mark out and be there on site, so if something goes wrong. So some are easier, some are harder. I will also say this, that the same people who cut down our trees, who plow our snow, who grind the stumps, these are all the same workers. We're doing this with, probably maybe a dozen people in the highway department and in DPW. But that's not an excuse, but I can tell you that this fall, going into the winter. So every year here, Mr. Rini comes up and we approve dozens and dozens, or, you know, a couple of hundred trees that we purchase, some usually from the same nursery, each year, and we replace them. Just coming up next week or something like that, we'll have an Arbor Day tree planting. Arbor Day was a couple of weeks ago, actually it was last week or 2 weeks ago, Friday, the 26th, yes.
Right.
So there's a process. We cut them down, the stumps are there, we kind of wait for the stumps to dry, and then, so we can.
The stumps are gone.
We don't
Oh,
have
the stumps are
anything,
gone?
we don't,
Those stumps are gone,
Yeah,
okay.
they're gone.
So
Okay.
my question would be, why wait till the fall? What is the, you know, what is the best time of year to plant? What kind of
I will have
tree is
Mr.
going
Rini
in?
answer that.
Uh,
So Mr. Rini will explain
Okay.
why we do it in the winter,
All right.
or fall into winter.
Please, thank you.
So we do maintain trees throughout the year, trimming and removals. As the mayor said, we're probably somewhere between 150 and 200 trees a year. Once we grind the stumps, though, especially in an area like yours where there's a lot of concrete and sidewalk and there's small tree pits, we can only grind so deep. And even in residential areas, we wait at least a year before we replant at that location, for the simple reason that the stump grinder can only go down so deep, and there's still a stump structure sometimes under there that prohibit the new tree from growing, and we lose them. We plant primarily only in the late fall, because in our experience over the years, planting in the spring when trees are just coming out of dormancy, they're in shock and we lose a lot. Whereas in the fall and in winter, when the leaves have already fallen off, they're already dormant. So when they come out in the spring, they're already in the ground and they're ready to go. So that's why and how we do that.
What type of tree are you choosing?
We haven't decided that yet for this year. We'll have to see and take a look at that. So based on whatever the nursery company that we use, what they have in stock and things like that.
Did somebody here?
And generally, no, it's, they're out in Suffolk. So, but generally what'll happen is, in areas where there's wires, we plant what are known as wire-friendly trees, because especially in an area like that where you do have a lot of sidewalks and very limited space in tree pits, you don't want me putting an oak there. So, okay, but that's how we, go about planting trees, removing them, stump grinding and the like.
But you can be assured that you will have trees this year in 2024, going into 2025.
I have one other question which really concerns my other husband who's not here tonight. We live over on Lincoln Avenue, and we walk to the Memorial Park and the library quite frequently. And on Lincoln Avenue, west of Mineola Boulevard, people are constantly parked on the sidewalks. My husband is legally blind. He has to go out into the street to walk around. I noticed it in many more areas now, even in private residences. Instead of pulling up their driveway, people are parked in the street. I think it's dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And I will have our code enforcement look at that tomorrow. Absolutely. I see it even on my block, they park in the apron, right?
Right.
They park kind of like half in the street, half in the driveway.
Yeah, I have no problem if someone's running in to drop
Right,
off groceries
right,
or something, but they park there.
Right. And this is, as you saw if you were here earlier, so that's the two-family area.
Yes.
And that's why we approve second curb cuts, second driveways, because those are legal two families. And so if there's enough room, if the house is set back enough so that a car can fit in front without hanging.
I've seen people who have cemented the grass in front of the house.
Right.
And if they want to park on, which I think looks terrible, but if they want to park on their grassed area,
Right.
but I don't think they should be on the sidewalk.
Right, absolutely not.
Okay.
You're absolutely.
Those are my
Thank you so much. And again, my apologies, folks, if anyone is wishing to make public comment, you have to come up here and get one of these forms. Do we have any other forms? Okay. Yeah.
Is there anybody else? I'll bring it. You guys okay.
So again, while we're waiting for that, the reminder, MineolaEvents.com is where you'll find out about all our events for the rest of 2024. Also, you should have gotten in the mail our quarterly newsletter, which the entire back page has the concert dates and the locations. So But Ms. Papadimitrios, if you want to come on up. Okay. Anyone who'd like to come up is fine. We don't have to wait. Ms. Papadimitrios, if you want to come up. No? Or whoever would like to go up. That's fine.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Lisanne Lang. I live on Bauer Place. These are my neighbors. We got a mailer on April 22nd, which was Earth Day, that the Chaminade is planning on turfing over their practice field, which if you guys are familiar, it's Bauer Place. It's at Harding. So we... Sayville.
No, I know, yep.
And so I guess we got this mailer, and there was a gentleman to speak with or ask information. I've emailed a few times, I think other people have as well, to ask questions. We never got a response, so we know you're not Chaminade, but
Right.
we have significant concerns about the artificial turf, both for Chaminade's students as well as our own health. So we wanted to see where we go from here.
Yeah, that's interesting. This is literally the first I've heard of it.
The mailer?
I have it here. We did not get this, and I literally had no idea. I will say this, those of us who've been here in the village long enough, you're describing that field as probably the worst real estate deal in the history of Mineola, because that used to be a Mineola school district field, and they, gave it to Chaminade for pennies on the dollar.
Is it
back.
leased or is it?
No, Chaminade owns it. They own it. The school district sold it. This was before Title IX, where there were girls' sports, so Mineola had excess fields. And needless to say, some of us who've worked there now, we are scrambling and busing kids all over the town to get fields. So anyway, that's a conversation for a different time. I had no idea, and Mr. Gibbons, do they have to come to us for permits?
No, but I'll reach out to the building inspector tomorrow, and I'll reach out to Chaminade also, try to get some details.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I think, I didn't know anything about artificial turf until I Googled it, and it's a little bit scary, both, regarding injury for the play. I know you're not Chaminade, so,
Right.
but, and just environmental health, and again, we got this mailer on Earth Day. And so it was just a little bit disconcerting, I think, to all of us. We really all do love that field.
And our backyards are literally
Right.
in that field. And we're just afraid from what we've read that
My
We're
4-year-old,
gonna-
I think, is allergic to it. So he goes out on Willis Ave and he breaks out in hives. The Willis Ave PAL field, so he's
Right.
plays t-ball, he comes home covered in hives.
Right,
Has to be the turf. It's the only time he breaks out is when he goes on the field.
right. I mean,
That'll be down my backyard.
again, as you said, we are not Chaminade, and it's tough, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, because we just turfed the field at Field
Jackson.
1, and we turfed the field that we couldn't grow grass on. We turfed the field that we had to cancel games when, a drop of water fell out of the sky because it became muddy. I can tell you that although there are 7 or 8 of you, that I've gotten 70 or 80 compliments from parents whose kids are now enjoying those fields. I coached varsity soccer at Mineola for many, many years. Mineola School District has turfed just about every single grass patch that they have. There's one at Jackson, there's one at the high school, there's one at, obviously, Hampton Street Stadium, Jackson. So, and I will say this, that when we turfed the Little League fields, I made a conscious effort, and Mr. Rini and I, it would have been cheaper just to keep going and making the whole field, but I think it is important to preserve some grass for a number of reasons, right? For drainage and health concerns. So we made a point of only making the infield turf at the Little League and not the outfield. But I would suggest that let's see what the building department says, let's see what Chaminade says, but I think that perhaps that should be directed to them, because if we have zero control, I can certainly say that my residents have a concern,
Yes.
and I honestly don't know, and this is my doubt, is it's a practice field. So they're not, and that's what I'm worried about is is it gonna become more than a practice field?
That's what-
Is it gonna
that's,
become, you know, are they gonna put lights, or are they gonna have games there with fans and noise, and because right now,
Rent it out,
they,
like they do their pool.
right.
If I may, I live in a dead
If you can step up to the mic, yeah.
I live in a dead end off of Sayville, and there's times where the kids are practicing there, that their parents come by, they park their cars on the side of the field, stand, block the sidewalks, looking through the gates of the field, blocking traffic, taking the spots where our cars park, making it inaccessible for us in our own neighborhood. Buses will park there. And if they do continue to go forward and have a turf field, try to make it more than that, it will be even more of a hassle for us in our community. And
Well,
it
well,
would
at
be
that
very
point, we could
difficult.
certainly address, you know, any parking regulations, you know, we can say no buses, no standing, no parking, we can certainly address that, but you know, I don't know what their plans are, but I don't, you know, I know we just paid to have a field turfed, and this field that you're talking about is larger, so we're looking at plus $2 million, way over $2 million. I don't know if they would be doing that just to practice, but we'll find that out. So we'll find that out, because then that does change the dynamic, right? You bought a house next to a field. You didn't buy a house next to a stadium. You didn't buy a house next to a place is going to have contests where people are gonna come and watch. Right now, they practice, for the most part, they cross Jericho Turnpike very dangerously, and it's unbelievable to me. And then they go home from that side of Jericho. If they turf, then, and they line it, and they put stands, and they put lights, now we're inviting people from St. Anthony's, or from St. Mary's, or from St. Dominic's to come down and watch games. I do know that their football stadium is not regulation, so if you've ever seen their end zone, it's cut because they can't fit a regulation football field on there. They can fit lacrosse, they can't fit football, so I think they play their football elsewhere. I know they play baseball elsewhere. I believe their baseball field is in Jericho. So could they be turning this into a baseball field? And that's the other thing, is baseball, different from football practice and lacrosse practice, where with metal bats, you're hearing the dinging of the bat every, 3 seconds. So
As it is, I get a ton of lacrosse balls in my yard, so I can imagine.
keep them and
They-
sell them.
Practice, Shama.
This is due
Um,
to start, I think, next week.
I had no.
These questions have to be answered, I would
Yeah,
imagine, before they
yeah,
start.
yeah. I had no idea. I wish that I had known sooner. They certainly did not share any information with us. When they build those buildings on Jericho, they have to come to us. They have to get building permits. They've come here when they built the gymnasium and when they built the science center. But we'll certainly get to the bottom of it. But I would suggest that you continue to call and write letters, maybe do a petition and send it to them, and CC us and send it to us as well. Because I think if they hear, because at the end of the day, they I think want to be good neighbors. Chaminade, has by and large been a good neighbor, and we're glad that they are here. It's certainly something that we're proud of, but we want them to continue to be good neighbors and to be aware of the neighborhood. So I
Mayor-
thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Mayor, just a question, to every resident on Bauer Place in your area got the same letter?
And
Sayville Road.
Say it again?
And Sadle Road.
In Sable, okay, that basic area, right?
Basically, us that are backyards.
So you're on the west side of Bauer.
Yeah.
I'll say, I didn't get the letter, and I'm across the street on
Right.
Bauer. from
You're
Okay.
the attached houses.
Yes. I didn't get
Okay,
the letter.
thank you.
I guess Sayville, because they're gonna go up and down.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Yes, right?
Okay, we'll look into it.
Would I be able to reach out to somebody to find out what?
You
Did
know,
anyone call the practice manager?
I called, I didn't call, I sent an email on the 22nd.
I
and
did
an
as
email
well.
Today.
And no response?
No.
And didn't you even?
so if you would leave your names and numbers with us today, after Mr. Gibbons speaks to the building department tomorrow and we speak to Chaminade, perhaps we can call one of you to be like the kind of, to relay, the liaison to relay the information, okay? Oh, okay, so you have Mr. Rivera's card, email your number, anybody's number, one contact, we'll contact you, and then hopefully, but I would ask you to perhaps start just a petition and have everybody sign it, at least for them to pump this is the first time I'm hearing it. You know, not that they have to tell us, yeah, not that they have to tell us everything, but, right, it says beginning around May 15th. When was this letter? When did
So
you?
that letter was dropped off our houses on Earth Day, April 22nd.
So that's not a long
And
time.
they didn't even put the date on the letter you noticed.
So they didn't mail this, they dropped it
No, they dropped it
in your
off.
mailbox,
I have a record.
which is a
Shut it,
violation of
camera.
United States Postal Service, you know, they can't do that.
Well, the mailbox. They've been-
We'll do that part alone if we can fix the other part. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
I have
Thank
another
you.
question.
Yep.
I don't know if you would know the answer since you dealt with the turf fields in Mineola. Is there different types of turf fields? One
There
that
are.
is better than the other? Like,
Yeah.
that was the information I put in the email as well. Like, if you're gonna put this, what type are you putting in? Is it environmentally
There
safe?
definitely are different, there are green turf fields, there are definitely different types and ones that are, I think, that are less problematic, than others. So I don't know what they're planning on doing, but they should have at least, I mean, I'm a little annoyed because this is not like a little thing. This is not like, you know, painting the bathrooms at the school. This is something that I think they should have let us know. And again, I want to reiterate, they've always been good neighbors and included us in decisions and let us know what the plans are. We've worked with them on parking on Saturdays when they have these massive, you know, lacrosse games and football games, rivalries, and we've worked with our parking enforcement. We've worked with them on, you know, the period where they let the students out because Jackson Avenue, the middle school, and Chaminade at the same time. It's a little chaotic. And I'm surprised and frankly a little disappointed
Me too.
that
My
this
son
is how
goes
I'm
there.
finding this out.
And my second son's gonna be going there.
Chaminade. We have
Right,
nothing against
right,
Chaminade.
right.
We love them.
But they
and
have to be
I
good
love
neighbors.
the field in our backyard.
Right.
So that's, I think, why we're all a little bit shocked and concerned.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
Sorry.
it's long, but I want to add one more thing. I spoke to environmental organization earlier. She was very informative. She gave me a lot of information. And artificial turf, I know it depends on what product that you use. It's slightly better than one or, others. But overall, she said, we are advocating because natural grass, because always it's natural is better than artificial. And also we're talking about, global warming, all this artificial turf heats are more, at least 20% more heat. So our backyard will have more hot weather, the temperature, because huge field behind us, it's gonna heat up and it's not shaded.
Right.
And also under the sun, last year we had many hot days over 100 degrees. Then definitely once they install it, as they planned, like May they install it, the summertime it's gonna heat up and it releases chemicals,
Or
PFAS.
maybe if they could keep the area, let's say 30, 40, 50 feet from your backyard. So in other words, because that is an oddly shaped
But it's
lot.
open space,
But what
air
I'm
we
saying
share.
is, if they turf the whole thing, the entire thing, that is worse than if they, let's just say they turfed down the middle. Let's just say they turfed a football field in the middle, then you would still have grass on the sides by you. That certainly would mitigate it a little bit. And I know that I see these articles, but for all the studies and for me, my experience, especially in youth sports, is injuries, ACL injuries, right? We see this in professional ranks because there's very little give. So I have not, and I know that when Mineola first did this, when they turfed the first field, it was a big bone of contention at the Board of Ed meetings. But to my knowledge, there has not been a definitive medical study really
Not
proving.
yet, I would
Right.
say. But I think it's a long term, PFS coming out. That article also says there are many studies have done. I found the UK article, and even California, they want to allow individual village towns ban the artificial turf because they think it's a long term, it's harming our environment. Long term, you breathe in more, it's gonna cause a problem. So for younger generation, for us, everybody, I think air we share.
Right.
I don't think it's a next door concern issue, issue, I
Okay.
think. I just wanna say.
Okay.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.
If I
Thank
might
you.
just go off that
Sure.
really quick. I'm, a young person. I've lived in Mineola my whole life. I want to raise my family one day in the house that my parents raised me. And if harmful chemicals from turf, no matter if it's a small football field size or a large entire field size, air goes all over. The tiny pellets and little bits get carried by any animals that would go into the field, the players walking down Jericho, going back and forth. It would carry the chemicals everywhere. I personally wouldn't feel safe raising my family one day when I'm 10 feet from toxic chemicals that are known to cause leukemia and brain cancer. And the city of Boston has even banned putting in new turf fields in, I believe, 2022. So if they have done that,
Again, a lot of this stuff, I don't know. I mean, when I look at a BC game or a BU game, they're playing on turf, so I don't.
the city, I believe it is.
Yeah, I'm talking about Boston College and Boston University, which are both in Boston. They play on turf fields, but it could be that when this turf field gets outdated, they go back. I would love to have, in 2005, I had the privilege of going up to the state tournament at the Soccer Hall of Fame. The fields were unbelievable, grass fields, natural, like Augusta, right, the golf course. Unfortunately, when we have communities like ours where there are so many kids who want to play, overuse, and we're not allowed to use chemicals, right? We're limited to using pesticides and things like that, so we can't grow grass that way. Overuse and poor soil, so we have this balance, and frankly, and I'm not a scientist, and so I'm not gonna argue whether you're right or wrong, but what I can say is that there has yet to been a definitive study that says that yes, these turf fields cause all those things that you're saying. I absolutely have experienced the heat because I know that once you step on the turf, it's about 10 or 15 degrees warmer, without a doubt. That goes without saying. And that's dangerous in the immediate term. That's dangerous for dehydration, that's dangerous for dizziness and all kinds of things. But let's take it one step at a time. Let's see what their plans are, okay? And let's try to get to the bottom of this. And certainly you can put the pressure that you can put. I'm one person and I don't live there. You're multiple people and you live there. So I think you can certainly exert some influence as well. Because I'd love to tell them what to do, and they're going to say, well, you just put a turf field in. Why is it okay for you and it's not okay for us?
But they also walk, like she said,
Right.
down Sayville Road before the game, before the practice, and there's a lot of them.
I know.
I've played on turf. I went to Kellenberg, another Marionette school. I'm
Right.
very familiar with Chaminade. The turf fields were awful to play on, in my opinion, but I'd come home with the little black pellets in my sneakers, in my shoes. And that's harmful for everyone walking by, their pets that are outside. It's something Chaminade.
I don't disagree. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Thanks for
night.
the opportunity.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for coming down. And thank you for letting us know. Anyone else wishing to speak? No? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
Motion?
Motion by trustee Casado, second by deputy mayor Sartori. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you. Yes.